Good afternoon, and welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. So, in the Sparkly book, which for many is better known as the HLC edition, the chapter is called The Journey Back, which was changed to The Direction of the Curriculum. The direction of the curriculum. What, the curriculum in the book? The curriculum in A Course in Miracles? No. The curriculum is the retracing of the steps you took away from the willingness to be the function of recognizing God in each and everything. Whatever course you took in leaving home constitutes the Course in Miracles of going back home, of the journey back. There is no objective Course in Miracles, and there's no objective curriculum for you to apply to yourself. The curriculum was set in place by you as you thought to be independent and original and in charge and on and on and on. The retracing of the course you took away from home should be a joyous thing, because it's you coming back into your right mind, you coming back into your sanity. So the direction of the curriculum is toward home. And it's an interior journey. Each of you will experience this course in unique ways. But there's one fundamental thing that all of you will participate in, and that is the relinquishment of the idea, the mad idea, you might say, that you have a capacity to think for yourself, that you have a capacity to give definition to everything, that you have a capacity to be an authority independent of the way things work. And you might say that the undermining of the course away from home is always brought into focus by the challenge you bring to the fundamental idea that you have a capacity to think apart from God, to see apart from God, to experience apart from God. Each step home is the undoing of the first step away from home. The undoing of the bill of divorcement. If you don't get this point, that returning home is an undoing of the bill of divorcement, you can become preoccupied with a lifetime's long process of involvement with the undoing of each step that you took away from home. You are finding that I am constantly undermining the first step away. Now, in the book, those whom you perceive as opponents are part of your peace, which you are giving up by attacking them. This is one of those things you need to be very clear about because it's so easy to misunderstand. And as a result of misunderstanding, tie yourself up unnecessarily in grief until you become clear. Those whom you perceive as opponents are part of your peace. It is quite possible for you to see someone who is not behaving badly, who is not behaving unpleasantly, as an opponent. It is quite possible for you to misperceive and misunderstand the presence of someone who is benign. It's possible for you to be confused about a friend. And see an opponent where there is none. Those whom you perceive as opponents, in this case, are part of your peace, which you are giving up by attacking them. Well, attacking them? Yes. You're attacking them by seeing potential harm where benignness is, an opponent where a friend is, because you are confused. Now, on the other hand, there are those who are themselves confused, who are experiencing fear because of their bill of divorcement, who are expressing their fear in antagonistic behavior toward you. You are not responsible for their behavior. Their own beliefs are responsible for their behavior. They are behaving in a way that causes you, out of habit, to respond with defense, because their behavior is an expression of attack. These, you could say, are opponents in that they are trying to upset you. Whereas in the first case, it was a friend who was not behaving in an obtuse way, and in whom there was no call for defense from you. Now the key here is that when someone is behaving in a way that is obtuse, unfriendly, unkind, thoughtless, hateful, when they are acting out their own great fear, you have a choice to either see them as an opponent or to see their behavior as a call for love from a Christ who has forgotten who he or she is. If you make the mistake of seeing them as an opponent, you are attacking them, because you are completely missing the point that they are a Christ who is confused by the fact that they are entertaining a sense of independence that will always be a fearful experience, and will cause them to behave toward their world as though it is hostile and something which they must protect themselves against. There is never an occasion when anything that confronts you must be defined as an opponent. Again, there is never a situation in which anything in your world must be defined as an opponent. And again, if you determine that something or someone in your world is an opponent, you have sacrificed your capacity to see clearly and be an agent for change, an agent for healing. Now the big question is, why under any circumstance would you determine that someone or something in your world was an opponent? Well, only when you yourself are seeing yourself as an independent agent. Only when you see yourself as what you have defined yourself. You see them as an opponent because they are challenging something in you that you have made up about yourself that is pure bullshit, pure fantasy, pure illusion, which is vulnerable to being uncovered for what it is, nothing. The fact that you see them as an opponent and decide to defend yourself against them, which constitutes attack, the fact that you do this means that before any resolution can occur, you must get your own mind straight. It means that you must, within yourself, consciously and conscientiously undermine your faith in the mad idea that you actually took a first step away from home. That you actually could get a bill of divorcement and did get a bill of divorcement. You're seeing another as a threat to you, an opponent, means that you are securely seated in a very definite belief about yourself and a very definite sense of what you are that has nothing to do with the truth. You are responsible for correcting that. And until you correct that, you will not be able to engage the true idea that this one behaving in an objectionable way is really the Christ suffering from a belief that he or she is independent and vulnerable. At which point, you can begin to behave in a way that proves to them or him that he or she is safe and doesn't need to behave this way with you. Until you do this, you're not in a position to state the truth that uncovers what needs to change in their mind so that they are free to behave in a new way. It doesn't allow you to say no to inappropriate behavior without a hooker, a hidden hook that constitutes judgment of some sort. Which will absolutely block the miracle, the potential for the sudden shift of perception for them. It doesn't allow you to recognize that they are not opponents and that they are part of your peace. And so again, those whom you see, those whom you perceive as opponents, and I'm adding, whether they're behaving that way or not, are part of your peace, which you are giving up by attacking them, meaning determining and defining them as opponents. How can you have what you give up? If you give up your capacity to recognize the Christ in your brother, you can't have the experience of the Christ in your brother. And without that vision, both of you are stuck. Continuing, you share to have, but you do not give it up yourself. When you give up peace, you are excluding yourself from it. When you give up peace, you are excluding yourself from it. In exactly the same way that when you said you wanted a bill of divorcement, you said it from the place of your inseparability from God, the place of your strength, the place of your invulnerability. And you had no idea that when you actually confirmed to yourself, as insane as it is, that you got the divorce, that you gave up the conscious experience of your identity. You didn't know that you would be excluding yourself from that which gave you identity. When you give up peace, you are excluding yourself from it. This is a condition, the absence of peace. This is a condition which is so alien to the kingdom that you cannot understand the state which prevails within it. Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because it has not made you happy. On this basis alone, its value should be questioned. In other words, the curriculum that you have been engaged in, which has been one of taking a course away from home, must have taught you the wrong things, simply because it has not made you happy. If you are not happy, you need to be asking yourself why. And you might even get more specific and ask the question, might it be because I'm moving in the wrong direction? Might it be that the course I'm engaged in isn't as valuable and wonderful as I thought it might be? And then don't leave it there. Then, when you finally acknowledge that indeed you're not happy because you're not acting within your integrity, you're not moving in a direction that works, then you need to decide to change directions. And there really is only one change of course to take, and that is the reverse of the one you've been on. It isn't just 3 degrees to the right or 20 degrees to the left of the direction you were moving in. It's 180 degrees reverse. You see, it's not what direction you're moving in away from God that makes a difference. It's abandoning the course that takes you away from that which gives you existence and the experience of being. Continuing, if learning aims at change and that is always its purpose. Are you satisfied with the changes your learning has brought you? Dissatisfaction with learning outcomes must be a sign of learning failure, since it means that you did not get what you want. But I'm going to add also that dissatisfaction with learning outcomes is the beginning of the return to sanity. Because until you recognize that you're not happy with the outcomes, you can't make a decision to change anything. If you did not get what you want, then you were engaged in learning failure. But recognizing that means that you're beginning to learn. Continuing, the curriculum of the atonement, and what is it? The undoing of each step you took away from home. The curriculum of the atonement is the opposite of the curriculum you have established for yourselves, but so is its outcome. If the outcome of your curriculum, has made you unhappy, and if you want a different one, a change in the curriculum is obviously necessary. Now, we have talked enough for you to at least have grasped the idea that what is making you unhappy, what is causing you not to be able to be happy, is your own independent thinking. And the so-called pleasure or hit you get from pretending that you have some authority. And therefore a capacity to successfully control. Well, in the process of utilizing this so-called capacity, you've given yourself definitions. Definitions that aren't the truth about you, but definitions that are satisfying to any attempt to be an independent authorizer. And as a result, you have built up a backlog of memory of your experiences of everything, conveniently forgetting that the way you're experiencing everything is flawed by the fact that it's being observed by something that doesn't exist, a mind independent from God. You now live your life based upon those memories and the definitions you have applied to them. You see, first of all, you applied definitions to the experience of everything. That gave you a memory of things that allowed you to be able to come to conclusions. And thus you began to have definitions of definitions. Well, I have experienced the fact that the people of a certain race have consistently expressed these vices or these virtues. Therefore, on top of my seeing them as different from me, I can see that they are different from the race I'm a part of. So now we have a definition of a definition. And you live your days out caught in the swirling of these definitions and these definitions of definitions, and